Welcome to Slaughterhouse Stories. I hope you enjoy the story I have for you tonight. Dreamless sleep. It was around 4:30 when I got in from school, rain dripping from my heavily saturated clothes. There was cold, and then there was this. Shivering, couldn't describe it. My whole body was shaking, head to toe. I was almost certain that if I had been out there any longer, then my organs would have gone into shutdown, and I would have just collapsed onto the street. I reached for a towel, dried myself off as best I could, and headed upstairs to change. Whilst on my journey up the stairs, I removed several articles of clothing and put them on the house radiators as I went. First off came my socks and hoodie. I placed them on the living room radiator. Then my shirt, which I placed on the radiator at the bottom of the stairs. Making my way up the stairs, I turned up the thermostat as high as it could possibly go, before placing my jeans and underwear on the radiator just outside my bedroom door. I changed into some clean clothes and made myself comfortable. I tucked myself into bed and placed my laptop over my knees. I began to browse YouTube for a good creepypasta reading, and before long, I found a good reading of the Edgar Allan Poe classic, The Telltale Heart. Not really a creepypasta, but it is still a story that I enjoy hearing, that never gets old to me. About 5 minutes into the story, I began to feel really drowsy. It was my own fault, really, given the night before I was up till late, watching Family Guy reruns on TV. I made the decision to rest my eyes for a bit while I listened to the story, given it had no video, and I had some time to kill before my mom got home and made me something good to eat. So I closed my eyes, and before long, my surroundings faded. The voice in the video dissolved into the sound of the pouring rain impacting my roof. My shivering stopped, and it felt as if I'd become a part of the air around me. The feeling was peculiar, but it was a nice feeling, and so I did nothing to fight it. I just drifted off into an unusual form of dreamless sleep. After a short while, I sprung out of my bed with an unusual amount of life. I felt so well rested. I looked at my clock. I had only been sleeping for half an hour. Normally, I would have been a tad suspicious of this, but given how amazing I felt, I just threw caution to the wind and went about my business. My parents were home, both of them. This was unusual, I thought. My dad is never home this early. My mom was on the phone. She sounded worried. I couldn't make out a single word she was saying, almost as though she was speaking a different language. The words sounded perfectly clear. I just couldn't understand them. I asked her what was wrong, and she just blinked at me, as she does when I interrupt her when she's on the phone. I felt rude, and so went away and vowed to myself not to disturb her again. 10 more minutes passed before an ambulance appeared outside my house. This is a fairly normal occurrence. The couple next door are both paramedics, but unlike normal, the sirens were screaming, overpowering the sound of the rain, the blue lights lighting up the darkening sky. I heard a knock at the door. 2 men, dressed in green uniforms, pushed past me as I ran downstairs to see what was happening. I overheard the word hypothermia as they darted past me up the narrow staircase. I yelled at my parents, "What is happening?" I received no response, just a tear forming in the pit of my mother's eye. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold, and my heart skip a beat. The 2 paramedics brought down a stretcher, and laid there on the stretcher, cold and lifeless. I laid there, in a dreamless sleep. That's it for tonight's story. But before we end things, check out the Slaughterhouse Stories podcast, available at all your favorite podcast sites. So download and subscribe. Be a listener, not a victim. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed tonight's story, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay spooky.